Okay, so this is my presentation for the Service Software Engineering for Service Computing, or SESC. In this, I'll show you my three microservices and how they combine and communicate with each other to form one big web service. So if I show you my technical stack, um, the student portal uses Spring Boot and a H2 database, and the finance portal uses Django framework, which is Python. And the library portal uses Spring Boot and an H2 database. The reason I use Spring Boot and a H2 database is it's a very well-known framework. It uses Java, which I am very confident in using. I've used it for quite a long time now. And it's very popular within like the web development industry. And the reason I use a H2 database with it is it's very easy to connect to each other, and it's really easy to set up within Spring Boot. The reason I use the Django framework within the finance portal is I wanted to see if I can develop a service within using Python. And although the method of doing it is slightly different to Spring Boot, it still is quite easy to use. There's a lot less code you have to produce, but that's because Python is quite easy to understand and it's a lot less boilerplate. And it's quite famously used within businesses such as like Spotify, which they use it to make their web services and their actual website and their software. So yeah. And the reason I use MySQL database is, although it's quite old, it's still reliable and it can be used within within web service quite easily. There are other frameworks you can use, such as if you want to use the .NET with Microsoft and C#, you can do. And you can also use Express.js, and you can also use Ruby on Rails, which is quite old, but it's still very commonly used within the web development industry. So yeah, let me check the draft real quick. Yes, 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 I'll show you that now. So if I go to the map before I show you the actual services, I'll show you that we have the student portal, which you can sign in, you can view courses, you can enroll in the courses, you can view your profile, you can edit the details, and you can check your graduation to see whether you can graduate, or if you can't, it's because you've got some debts to be paid. And this connects to the finance portal, which you can use to create an account, check the account details to see whether you can graduate or not. And it has another endpoint, which also is used by the library to create an invoice. Now, for the student portal, this is used for for paying for courses when you enroll, and for the library, it's used to pay for books that have been borrowed for too long in the past due date. And within the finance portal, there's also another endpoint which is used to view invoices and pay for them. Now, with the library, you have the endpoint which is used by the student portal to connect to the library portal and create an account via the student ID. It then gives you the option to view and edit your account details. You can then view books, borrow them, and return books. And if they're past the return date, it will then send an invoice. You have to pay for the invoice. And then it has an admin option. So if you sign into the admin account, you can add a book. You can view all the books. You can view all the students that have signed up to the library portal. And you can view the receipts. So yeah, I'll show you the actual UMLs of this. So on the right here, we have the models. So you have the account model, the invoice, and the course. The account and course have repos that connect to the database. And these also have services. So we have the account service, the course services. They have the enrollment service, the integration service, which is used to connect to both the other portals. And then we also have the actual controllers, which are used to determine the endpoints and how both the web page works. If we go to the library, we have the models at the top. So we have invoice, account, receipt, and book. The account, receipt, and book have repos which connect to the database, and these repos connect to the services, which does all the business logic, before connecting to the controller, which is used for the REST endpoints of both the API and the web page. And then the finance, this is the data model on the left. So we have the invoice model and the account model. The invoice uses the order field, which is a auto-generate ID for the ID, and it's just the same for the account. And for the invoice, it has a many-to-one relationship with the account, and the account has an invoice set, which basically stores all invoices that the account has. And I'll show you the other stuff for the finance portal after I've showed you the happy path. So let me quickly, yes, show at least 2 actors. Okay, so I'll show you my first account, which is my account that I've used to test it, and I'll make an account and show how it works on a new account, and I'll show you the admin account on the library page. So I'll do that real quickly. So if I log in as my Mr. account, if I log in, you can see the details. So we have the Mr. username, the test password, and my actual ID. We can edit this, so we can edit the username and password. So I do Mr.1, test1. Here you can see it's edited. We can then go back, change it back, so that maybe test. It's not changed. I can then view my courses. So I haven't enrolled in any courses yet. I can go to all courses, and we can see that here are our courses. So we can search. We can do cloud computing, and here it is, cloud service development. We can do SESC, like for the module. There it is. So it's entry for service computing. £10. We can view it. We can enroll, and here we have our invoice. We can copy. If we check graduation, we can't graduate because we pay for this course. So let's go to the invoice, or the finance portal, sorry. Pay for our invoice. Here we can see we've got a year to pay for it. It costs £10. The reference is there. It's our ID. It's outstanding, so we have to pay it. It's tuition fee, so it's pay it. And we've paid for it. So now if we go back here and refresh, we can graduate. That's good. We can view our course that we've enrolled in. So here's our enrolled courses. We can enroll in another course. Let's do our dissertation while we're at it. And here we have our reference. We can go back to our invoice or finance portal, sorry. And we can now view it. Again, it's a year to pay it. It's £15. It's in our ID. It's our reference. It's a tuition fee. It's outstanding. So let's pay it. If we don't pay it, we can't graduate, as shown here. Let's pay it, refresh, and we can graduate. And here are our 2 courses. So now let's go to the library. I'll log in. It's the same. Use your student ID and it's test. We can view the books. So here are our books. They're all textbooks, let's say. We can see that we need to return. It's been a year since the due date, so we return it. Let's return this book that we haven't handed in. We have a fine of 1.8k. It's quite a lot for a book. Let's pay for this book, because if you check now, if you go to the graduation, we can't graduate anymore because we returned the book and we need to pay for it. So let's back here, enter the reference. Let's pay for it. It's a library fine. We've paid for it, so now let's check. We can graduate again. So there we go. And we haven't got any books now. So let's borrow a new book. Let's borrow Super Intelligences by Nick Bostrom, the Swedish author. So we can borrow this. We've borrowed it. We have a month to borrow it before we can get the due date. So I'll return it real quick after reading it. So let's go back here. We've see our borrowed book list. Let's return it. Thank you for returning our book. There it is. I'll show you the admin page. It's this log out of the library. I'll go to the admin login. So here I have the admin. Welcome admin. There he is. We can view all the students. So obviously it's just Mr. and Test. And we have our admin login. We can view all the books. There are our books. We can search the books. So if I copy the name and we search for the name, there it is. I can clear this. It's back again. We can add a book. So we'll do Harry Potter. It's quite an easy book to put in. So £25 for that one. And there it is, new book, Harry Potter. So we go again, we can see that there, and we have no loans. So if I log out, we'll log back into our other account. We'll take out Harry Potter, and I'll show you the admin of the current. I'll show you the admin page of viewing the receipt. So if I borrow Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling, sorry, if I borrow it, we have a month to return it. So if I log out, and let's say I'm reading it right now, and the admin logs on, you can view that I've taken it out. Book 6, which is Harry Potter, the new book. So if I log out and I want to return Harry Potter, we can log back in. We can see that Harry Potter needs to be returned. We can return it, and there it is. We've returned the book. So yeah, I will now show you what it's like. I can refresh. I can graduate still. So let's say let's be a new student. We sign up. Let's say test account with word test as our password. We've registered. So here's our test account. We can then log in. So let's log in. We can edit this. So let's call it test account 123. We'll call it 123 for test. Let's edit, and there's our new password. I'll change this back to what it was normally. So test. And there it is. So let's enroll in a course. Let's do robotics. Learn how to make robots. Enroll is our reference. Back here, let's view this. Tuition fee £50. It's our new ID. Let's pay it. And can we graduate now? We can. And I'll sign into the library and show you that real quick. Let's copy that. Library. It's test again, so test. And here it is. We can view books. Let's get the new Harry Potter book. Borrow it. We have a month. So again, I'll show you admin. It will now show a new user has signed in. The new users here, test. We can see that the new loans taken out by this user. So now we'll return the book. This one. I forgot the. Oh, sorry. I'll just do that. Sorry, I forgot the student ID. And then we can return the book. There it is. So that's how it works. It works flawlessly, actually. Yeah. So I've shown you that. I have yes, yes. I've shown the hyperpath, all three, yes. I've explained how I've implemented the microservice pattern by having three separate services. So instead of having a monolithic, instead of having a monolithic version, which is when you have one code base on a computer, and instead of having three services made by on three different computers or hosted in three different areas, so this is port 109, 8000, and 9015, it's all on one port. It's all stored by the same computer. That's a monolithic approach. And that's normally not scalable. It's not, if you're making quite a big service, which is like a e-commerce site, and you have that on one computer, it can cause performance issues, and it's quite limited by the hardware. So yeah, having microservices, you can have all your code split up onto different servers. You can have it distribute the performance, the computational load over multiple hardware, and it makes it scalable. It's a lot more easy to use. It's less demanding on a single server, and yeah. You can also have serverless, which is to do with the cloud. So what you'll do is you make a service make a microservice like these, and instead of put it on a server, you put it on a cloud service, so like AWS or Microsoft Azure, and that will mean that what that means is, sorry, I'm just flicking around. What that means is that you can have a scalable, very easily scalable, and an easily scalable service that can be quite reliable because it's run by companies that are billionaires, and they can easily run the AWS servers. And sorry. So that's the alternatives. Dependency management. I've used within this the Gradle to do dependency management. So here's my dependencies for the library portal. Yep, I could have used Maven within my management, but I didn't because I prefer using Gradle. And if I go to the actual build.gradle, sorry, if I actually go, if I can compare the both, Gradle is a lot quicker in building products and making it more performance better compared to Maven. So I prefer to use Gradle, and that's why. And my example, if I've been asked to show, my example here is I imported the dependencies to use Spring Boot. So here's JPA, here's Timeleaf, here's web service, here's web services, here's JDC, which is used to connect to the database. And yeah, and here's the test implementation for using tests. Yes. Dependency injection. Okay. So if I go to my services, I can easily show an example. So here in my account service, we are injecting the account repo, which uses loose coupling, meaning that the code is more flexible, more adaptable to different scenarios, rather than having it hard coded to a certain type of account, which is known as type coupling. So that's how I've used dependency injection. In this one, I've injected the account repo and the REST template. If I go to the book service in the library portal, scroll up, you can see that I've used the book repo to be injected into the book service. Yes. I have displayed, yes, I've done that. Service, okay, so using a service within my code, so if I go to this again, so as you can see, I have the account service, a book service, an integration service, and a receipt service. The reason you want to use an account service rather than having, let's say, all your code within the controller, the reason you want to do a service behind the controller is it keeps all the business logic away from the controller, and that makes one the entire code base a lot more readable and easy to understand. So when you look at the controller, it's not having all this plus the service logic as well. And yeah, and instead of using a service pattern, you could use, let's say, a factory pattern, which similarly is similar to service design pattern. And yeah, I have just so I can show you where I've used REST to connect to each. I've used REST for mine to connect to services. So I'll show you that real quick in integrations. I'll show you in the student platform this time. So if I go to my integration service, you can see that I've used the REST template to use a get request within the finance portal, and this will search for the account using the student ID, and it will check to see, well, this is used to check whether if the student on the finance portal has any outstanding payments. And again, here we've used the post for object within the REST template, and this is used to create an invoice when we enroll into a course. So yeah, that's when I've used REST. Yes, testing. Okay, so for testing, I have done, if I go to the student portal, I have used unit testing. I tried to use both integration and functional, but I couldn't get it to work. And I think the reason was dependency issues. So yeah, I can show you my unit tests working. If I go to, actually, I'll do I'll end this and clean, and then verify and test. It's all that I test. And I'll show you Django after this once it's done testing. So there we have 15 tests done. I can show you this. It's 100% successful. I can show you the services. And here you can see some of it's working, some of it's working. If I go back to classes and go to this, test it complete. I'll show you the Django tests. It's not Spring. So if I end this, I do Python manage tests. Here we have 8 tests, and it's done. So in this one, it tests the actual models. So here we have test invoice creation. So it tests whether it's created correctly. And then we have the actual form. So it tests the form of the invoice form on the finance portal, and it tests it validates whether it can detect when there's valid data, invalid data, no data, null, or none in this case. And yeah, so that's my testing. Sorry. There we go. Yes, and yes, no, no. Conclusion. So to summarize, my microservices work as intended. They do. It allows the customer end user to easily communicate between both, or also all 3 services, and yeah, it allows him to sign up to the course, enroll into courses. Sorry, you can pay for books, you can borrow books, you can graduate, you can sign up if you want to on new accounts, and yeah, I think it works pretty well in my opinion. Any other questions? Limitations. I think testing. I mean, I could probably do it. It's just I think the issue was the dependencies or my SDK version, but yeah, that's something I couldn't change. But no, I think my product's pretty good actually. So I think I've discussed it quite well. The only way I could improve it is by incorporating on the library, incorporating on the admin page the scanner for the ISBN rather than adding the book individually. That's something to do in the future if I wants to improve it. So yeah, I think that's the end. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, thank you.